Welcome to this episode of my Women Empowerment Wednesday show. My name is Jessica DSB. Enjoy this episode.
We are live. That's awesome. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. It's Women Empowerment Wednesday. I am so excited to be with all of you today with a very special guest. Before I get to introduce him, let me introduce myself. If you're just seeing me for the first time, my name is Jessica. I am an entrepreneur, 2 times best international selling author. 3rd book just came out. And as well as the Women Empowerment Wednesday show, I am the founder. All right, so what is this Women Empowerment Wednesday show about? Started over a year ago, and we wanted to create empowering, touching, inspiring conversations every single week with a special guest, but not only to have that conversation with myself and the special guest, but also to bring upon a movement where you can bring those conversations in the lives of the people that you care about. So if you're just seeing me, you're just seeing Women Empowerment Wednesday show, please join my Women Empowerment by Jessica DSB Facebook group. And on my YouTube channel is all the episodes that have been recorded so far. We are at episode 54 today. Super excited. So YouTube channels, it's Jessica DSB. Yes. Happy Wednesday. If you're going to be watching live, type live in the comments. If you're going to be watching replay, please type replay. I want to read your comments. I want you to create that community with me. All right. So let me introduce our very special guest today, Mr. Armin Shafee. I'm so excited you're with us.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for
Yes, hi, how are you? All right, so who is Armin? Let me, introduce you. You are the founder of Speak and Get Clients in the High Ticket Coaching Community. Sold over $1 million in coaching by sharing his message to audience through his voice. Featured in Yahoo Finance for his work by helping coaches build their online businesses during the pandemic. Woo, I can't wait for you to share more about that. He also has publicly spoken over 1,000 stages all over the world, including Malaysia, Thailand, all over North America, speaking to different audiences on mindset, belief, conviction, and confidence. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I'm so happy to have you and spend a bit of time because I know you're such a busy man. So I am privileged and honored to have a little bit of your time for myself and our amazing community that's going to be watching this episode. So thank you. So before we get started on a few topics and questions that I have for you, can you share a bit more about who you are, but more specifically, as a young, successful man, tell us about your journey in empowering the younger generation.
Yeah. Well, who I am is quite simple. Name's Armin, founder of highticketcoaching.com. And specifically, I like to work with coaches. That's my niche, and help them kind of get their message out there. The more people they can help, the more, the world becomes a better place. So we're really on a mission right now to help 1,000 coaches, help 1,000 people, meaning helping them get 1,000.
Wow.
So we do that through our strategies, and it's good and it works. So a lot of our clients are super successful for that reason. And my journey, actually quite simple. I haven't talked about my story in a while, but when I was 18, I had a near-death experience, and I was in a car accident. And at that time, I was hanging around with the wrong people, doing the wrong things, had the wrong habits, right intention. But sometimes, let me know if you could relate. Sometimes, you have a good intention, but the delivery or the environment just isn't the right one. So even though the intention is good, you still end up getting bad results. That was kind of like how I was. So I got very lucky that at a young age, I went into a car accident one night that really woke me up, and I started to question everything. When you face a big emergency in your life, you often ask a very important question, which is, what the hell am I doing? Right. And so that's what I did. And luckily, at a super young age, I woke up, I became conscious. I'm like, I want to take my life seriously, because if I died that night, it would have been a waste. And years later, you know, now 7 years later, I built this business, my dream life. You know, it takes a lot of work. Doesn't it?
Right.
Right? It takes 7 years to become an overnight success, but and I'm just getting started. Like, this isn't, to me, success is the progressive, you know, work towards something beautiful. So I've been successful from the moment I started, when I had nothing, because my mind was already set on, I'm doing something meaningful now. So that's really how I got into this journey. I realized if I can change my life so quickly just because of something bad happening like that, I'm like, then it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. So I'm like, let me help others. So my first venture was really helping people in breakthrough. You know, people who were depressed, in a low place, were unsettled, felt empty inside. I built for 3 years a business. I traveled the world, spoke on stages to help people in seminars, very much Tony Robbins style, helping them break through and figure out, you know, what they want to do and what's holding them back, and really getting them to that turning point before something in life makes them reach that turning point, which is usually a disaster. So I'm like, let's just skip the disaster and get there first mentally, so that we can change, you know, what you already know you should be doing and stop doing. So that became very successful, and it was very meaningful. My purpose was helping people. And then, you know, the pandemic hit. Can't do an event. So in that time, I transitioned online. And I learned so much in doing that I'm like, man, I feel bad for my fellow coaches, people that are doing work like mine or different. And so I got into the space of actually helping them to, you know, replicate and go online. And then that turns a very successful business. And funny enough, we circle back around to, even though I'm helping coaches in business, really my program's infused with so much breakthrough that the owner of the business is what I'm working with, not the marketing or the sales of the business.
Wow.
And even though we give that much, we give everything you need for that. My biggest meaning behind what I do right now is the weekly calls, where I'm getting on calls with CEOs, business owners, or people who want to be one, and helping them build these, you know, 6 and 7 figure businesses, but more so working on them and how to balance that kind of equilibrium between money and peace of mind. Because that's what my whole philosophy is. If you're not peace of mind at the end of your goals, you did it wrong. So yeah, so kind of what I do now is that I'm working with coaches and working with people on, you know, their thinking, their philosophy, and getting them to turning points, but now for different results. So
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing it. And I want to go back onto the success part, because it's something that I've been asking in the last few weeks. What does success mean to you? What is your own definition? And what you just said about, I was already successful from the beginning, goes all back to that mindset, right? So, wow, it's incredible. Thank you. Hello, Rick. Thanks for watching and being with us. Again, if you're live, type live in the comments, and replay if you're going to be watching replay. So I want to go back to you speaking on stage about confidence, belief, mindset, and conviction. Are those some of the top 4 pillars to build a successful business?
Well, I would say your level of confidence is definitely a make or break of anything you set your mind to working, not just a business, even in a relationship and your own goals in life personally. But it wouldn't be the outcome of a business working. You could be very confident following the wrong method, right? So it's a balance. But I would say the first step in anything is developing belief in yourself. Right. So it's, no matter what you want to do, if you don't believe you're going to do it, or believe you're going to be able to follow through, or believe it's going to work, if there's a lack of belief, everything you do will not work. I often say with my clients that it's kind of a saying we have now, is if you give the wrong formula to the right mind, they'll always figure it out. Give the right formula to the wrong mind, and they'll always mess it up. So it doesn't matter if, let's say you're starting here and you want to get to a city, but I give you the map, right? I give you the map, and I say, just follow this route and you're going to get there. If your mindset is unsettled, if you don't know if you want to actually go there, so you stop halfway and then you turn back, and then you go, okay, no, let me go. And you turn back and you start driving towards it. And then you stop and you go, no, let me go back. And then you start doubting yourself, and then you start messing it up yourself. Even though you have the perfect roadmap to get there, you'll never get there, right?
Right.
But if I don't give you a map and you're determined, you're confident you're going to get there, and you know why you got to get there, even with no map, you will figure it out. You'll somehow get there. So right. And we know that, right? It's just, that's real life. Like, so now it's like, think about business, you know, it's like no one else can give you that. It's funny, in our program, we work on that. The first thing is upgrading your thinking. It's literally the first module.
Mm.
There's so much in there. People come in, they're like, I thought I paid for a marketing program. This is changing my life. Like, people's marriages are changing because of upgrading a thing. People, I got a woman come in and she wanted to make money, and 2 weeks after our session would be, she got engaged instead.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Well, why is that? Because I shifted the person within, right? So now money's easy. She already closed $2,000 clients like this within a week after that. Now the engagement, making money, have somebody do together, maybe. But I'll tell you this, if what's stopping you in your personal life or inside is not settled, it's not fixed, you're dreaming if you think somehow incongruently in your business, things will work out. Right? We teach a concept called congruent living, right? It's like, if your business, you want it to do well, or your profession or whatever you're doing, your life better be doing well. Because even if you figure out how to do better in your work, but your health is slipping, relationships are slipping, right? You have bad habits and you're slipping on that. Even with the money, you'll have no peace of mind. So you're ultimately poor still.
Wow.
But really the secret, to true success is that, I'll give you the definition I have for success that I learned from Napoleon Hill. Yeah. Which is, I think it applies to everyone's version of success. Everyone could say, this thing, if I have, I'll be successful. Sure. In that case, everyone's right, no matter what they say, because that's their own personal agenda for what they need to feel successful. But I think we could all agree universally that this definition I'm about to give fits every type of definition into it, which is success is your ability to change the things you don't like without having to violate the rights of others. That's it. Success is your ability to change circumstances you do not like without having to violate the rule, the rights of others, or having to do anything negative, right? So it's like, if you always change circumstances you don't like, you're ultimately successful. Whether that's a money problem, you make money. Whether that's a weight problem, you lose the weight. Whether it's a relationship problem, you find the love. If you could change the things you don't like without having to step over anyone or lose, get stressed because you're doing something unethical, then you're very successful, no matter what you put your mind to. So that same principle comes in business, comes in life, comes in everything. But that's my definition of really what it is. So
I love that.
I was going to say, I always look at a leader as someone who's changed all the circumstances they do not like. I always find that there are lots of people who only change one circumstance or change no circumstance, and they're trying to lead others. And I got to humbly say, that's just blind leading the blind. If you're going to help another person, you got to help yourself first. Someone has money problems, teaching you how to make money. Someone has weight problems, teaching you how to lose weight. Someone has money problems, teaching you how to lose weight. Maybe those don't correlate, but if you got a habit of spending too much, you're probably going to be given a really bad perspective on how to not eat too much to the client. It's all going to relate somehow. There's no way to escape the laws of how nature works, right? So, yeah.
I'm smiling because Kosti's watching, which is my partner, and this is our conversation that we have often, where everything starts at home with your relationship with yourself, what you're eating, what you're doing to take care of yourself, but also with your partner, with your loved ones, with your kids, and then business and everything else. So I'm all in alignment with what you're saying. Thank you for sharing that. Hello, Marissa. Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for being with us. So going back to, you're young, Armin, like, you're successful. It's amazing. I love to see that. I want to go on to the women empowerment aspect. Of course, you're coaching many women, I'm sure. I want to hear from you. Is there a common theme or something that you hear often coming from women coaches? Where is it a belief, confidence? Is there something that comes back when it comes to women coaches?
So ask me in a different way. I want to give a really good answer to this because I think it's a good question.
Is there, well, you can answer it the way you want. It's okay.
So the question is, I'm asking to be rephrased because I want to make sure I get it so I don't go off tangent with something irrelevant.
As women, sometimes, I'm going to talk about myself, sometimes confidence or belief, like you were just saying before, like it all starts with the belief that you can do it, right? So I'm asking you, from your experience, with working with women, is there something that comes up often that we as women deal with?
So, I mean, my honest experience is and I know this is the women empowerment talk, right?
Yes.
It's important. It's important we hyper focus on the theme, right? And in actuality, if you want to go above or, grow bigger than anything in your life that's stopping you, it's important that we see everything as a universally applicable thing. Here's what I mean by that. I have all types of people in my program: men,
right.
women, young, old, inexperienced, very confident, very unconfident.
Right.
Language barrier, perfectly speaking. Like, there's every way you could think. Someone who has baggage from the past, something's happened to them. Someone who's clear thoughted. And I can confidently tell you that the only time there's a pattern that is a problem is when the person thinks there's a pattern of a problem. So I had, for example, one woman client that came to my program, and she brought into the program a narrative that she has around her skin color and around her being a woman in the workplace. It's actually beautiful what she does, by the way. Her offer is to help women step into feminine energy without having to come off aggressive, because in the work field, they get scrutinized for that, which is, you're very masculine, or you're very aggressive or cold. And it's like, to be a woman in a man's, world, as they call it, you have to be more like a man. So it's like they have to sacrifice so much of their feminine quality. So this client of mine works with them on how to actually be able to step into leadership without sacrificing those qualities. I'm like, that's a beautiful offer. But when she came in herself, she had a lot of biases about, how things work. And all I did, and this is what we do when I work with someone, my goal is not to add on more layers of beliefs onto already the stack of beliefs you have yourself and make it harder for you to try to see the world. It's like every time you get a new belief, a new cultural conditioning, a new perspective given from someone, or a past experience that makes you think this is how things are, every time that happens, it adds a layer of fog in front of your eyes. And now you see the world in more of a cloudy judgment. Every single time you get brokenhearted by a man or a woman, you're going to think the next one's going to be something like that, right? You're going to hate or love your parents. You're going to be the opposite, or you're going to be like them. And that every time you get an experience and you don't consciously choose how to define it or what it really is, you allow it to come and block your vision. So now you're seeing things through only your past experiences and your beliefs. Right. Here's the problem. When you're seeing the whole world from your own eyes only, it's a very small world. Because all you do is see everything from the way you think things are. It's such a narrow perspective in life. Limits the person. So what I do is, when you come in my program, like, I am removing layers left, right, and center until all you see is clarity. So all you see is truth. Now, I don't know the truth. I think everyone has their own truth. But to find the truth, you need to decondition your mind. You need to unlearn everything. That's how you find real truth. If I meet a woman, for example, this woman that I've worked with, I love her. She's great. I looked at her. I'm like, your marketing, it's good. You feel good about it? She goes, yeah. I'm like, is it getting results? No, it's not. So I'm like, you sure? Are you open for coaching? Because I can help you, but it might not be what you want to hear. But I'm not here to give you what you want to hear. If that was the case, if you only paid to listen to what you want to hear, then you'll stay where you are and be happy, right? You shouldn't complain about your results. She goes, no, I'm open. I said, okay. Well, here's the thing. Because you're so convinced, you're so personally attached and emotional about your offer, because you're helping women and you've had your own experiences, you have this vendetta against, the corporate world or men. I'm like, even though that fuels you in your passion, it gets in the way of you actually doing good marketing, because in your marketing, you're making things personal. Like, you're detaching from the principles that create good marketing to get you leads and sales. I'm like, so you're getting your personal biases in the way of you actually fulfilling your purpose here. I'm like, you need to put that aside. You got to get over yourself. And she goes, definitely not what I wanted to hear. I'm like, but is it true? She goes, exactly. It's true. So getting over the personal biases and the patterns you're calling it, or what's the theme for women? Yeah. There's no theme. The only theme I see amongst all people, not just women, is that everyone has beliefs that is clouding their judgment.
Mm-hmm.
They think, here's the one pattern I see everyone have. They think the world is the way they think. And that's the most truest pattern everyone has. No one can agree to that. Everyone believes the world is the way they think it is.
Mm-hmm.
The problem becomes when you have more different aspects of things you've gone through, you have more conditions on how the world is.
Yes.
Keeps narrowing your vision of how it is. You start only seeing what you're looking for, never start seeing what you need to see. So with her, we got over it. And and then she started getting clients, started booking calls. I'm like, it's because you started to focus on what they need to hear, not what you want to say. And maybe the only thing I can see as a pattern with women is just because the egotistical way the world's been built, I think feminine energy is more needed in every area of life. That's why I think very powerful men are actually ones who attach to the feminine side. And that comes to the help of a woman. I think that's very powerful. Most men are too masculine in suppressing their power of creativity and emotion. Most women are trying to be like a man because they think their feminine side isn't powerful. That both is a problem, right? So I think the biggest thing is I would see is that a woman's been influenced by men or by masculine women, and been either steered off track or lied to in some sense that they don't know how to use what they have. So, women are far more superior to men in terms of just logic. Like, they're more intelligent, their brains work faster, they can look at detail, they're more equal and balanced out with emotion, there's more self-control. They have so much more advantage. But the problem is the narrative and I don't know. These are all bad things. If you're like that as a man, it's a weakness. I'm like, no. So I think the biggest pattern is like women have to just let go of it.
Yes.
Not add on more that have to think about and identify with. It's removing identity. Because then your natural state is going to be very powerful.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I love it, love it, love it. Okay. So apart from letting go, how else can a woman or a man start to take off those layers of that clouded? In Landmark, we used to talk about the glasses. You keep adding a pair of glasses, you can't see anything after, right? So what is one tool or one action people can take to start taking off those pair of glasses?
There is only one tool.
Ooh.
The glasses, these are great tricks. They're good. Like, they're good. They're
useful.
But there's only one true way to change how you think. You ready for it? I'm going to tell you.
Yes.
It's the only way, eh? It's the only way to do it. After dozens and dozens of seminars I ran, with so many hundreds of different cases and testing it, I found there's only one way. You question. You don't need NLP. You don't need a course to teach you this. You don't need coaching or mentorship. You don't need it. Very useful, because a coach might question you better. The coach might know how to question you better.
Right.
If you just get into the habit of questioning everything and yourself, not in a negative way, like, oh, am I good enough? That's not what I'm talking about. Questioning in terms of, why do I think this?
Right. If
you just seek the truth, which any great philosopher did by keeping asking yourself the question, why? You will eventually stumble across the truth. The biggest thing, I was having a conversation this morning with one of my team members. And I was telling her, I'm like, I caught myself viewing and comparing myself to other entrepreneurs and comparing my egos in this way. And I was telling her, I was speaking out loud, and I'm like, where did I get that from? And I realized, I'm like, oh, I picked this up from a family member, man. I'm like, it's limiting because I'm comparing myself to others through this metric, like through this thing. I'm like, and I saw someone in my family used to do this. I'm like, man, I can't keep this. See, it's a questioning process. I just sat there. I'm like, why am I thinking like this? Really weird. Is this even useful? See, I'm questioning it. I'm like, is this even useful to think this? I mean, I don't even want to think this. How do I get rid of it? Well, I'm going to stop now. Because 80% of the battle with your mind is over when you become aware of it. 20% is now just the repetition of conditioning your mind until the new thing is taken over. I'm going to say that again. This is very important. 80% of you overcoming anything in your mind is just becoming aware of it. The 20% is the physical time you have to spend now every day moving forward from that moment to condition your mind with the new repetitive thought of what you want to believe. For example, if you are in the narrative that as a woman, it's hard to build a business, let's just say, 80% of it is questioning yourself until you realize, where the hell did I get that from? Oh my God, my mother used to tell me that it's hard for women in life. And let's just say, give an example. My mother taught me this, and I saw her every day say that. That's where I got it from. 80% of it's gone now. Because how can a person become aware of the source of a problem and not want to let it go? It's very unnatural to want to keep on to it. Unless you have something you're getting out of it. In that case, now you're just sabotaging yourself. But if you realize like it's this, be like, oh, I don't care about this anymore. 20% of defeating the devil in this case is now simple. Every day from that moment and every day on, you just keep telling yourself the opposite. It's really easy to build a business as a woman. And within time, usually around 7 to 14 days, you say it every time, every single time, every day. Eventually you start to believe it. It becomes your new narrative. And this is really the method in how you program your own self and redesign yourself to fit what you need to achieve your purpose in life, or whatever it is you're setting your mind to.
Right.
That's really the process.
Thank you. I love it. I love it. Kosi says, you're right. Success is your ability to change what you don't want. Yes. Hey, Jeanette, such a great point. Then we have some fires from Lauren. Thank you all for watching and being with us. I have one last question before we start wrapping up, Armin. What if somebody today is going to be watching or later and say, I want more for my life. I want my business to grow. But I'm terrified of investing money because, you know, how that same thought process that many of us have. So what would you tell them today to empower them to make a decision?
It's a very good question. I think if you just shift perspective on the question, it answers itself. If I was really, really desiring to start my own farm and grow crops, I really wanted to grow my own crops. Maybe I want to have my own salad. I want to make my own salad, make my own tomatoes, lettuce, everything, right?
Right.
What would you say to me or think about me if I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, man, I really want to grow my crops here, but I'm unwilling to plant the seed. I'm even unwilling to buy the seed. Even though I know if I plant it here, I'm going to get multiple of return on the seed. I might spend $10 to get a bag of seeds. I plant one of these seeds. This one seed will give me tomatoes for 3 months. Am I unwilling to pay the $10, plant the seed, put in the work, put in the fire, the wood so I can get the fire, right? To get the tomatoes back, the crop. Well, if I'm saying no, there's a fundamental problem with your logic, like just your intelligence. I think most people, if they just look at it that way, they go, no, I'm much smarter than that. That makes no sense to me. Why would I do that? Right? Of course, I'm not going to be unwilling to plant a seed. Well, what is the difference when you're being asked to spend money into something to learn that you don't know? Like, you don't go to university or college. I just think in the business world, because there's no institution, everyone thinks it's a different game now. You know, it's the rules.
Right.
It's the same rules. I go to Harvard Business School and I go, well, I really want to become a Harvard graduate. I want to become successful in business. Like, great, we have the greatest program on the planet. We charge $250,000. You go, oh, I'm just not willing to pay that. They're going to be like, then you don't want to be a great business person. It's not about the money. It's about your desire. If you tell me, Armin, I really want to have a farm, I want to grow these crops, but I'm just not willing to plant the seed and put in the work, I'm going to say, then you don't really want the crops. See, people are in denial. Right? You're like, I want this thing, but I'm not willing to give for it. Well, then just say the truth. I don't want this thing. Because that's all you're telling yourself anyways, whether you lie to me or not. You're still lying to you. Because if you truly want it, you know you'd figure it out. Here's a good example. A lot of people say money's a problem, man, right? Everyone in the world, no one budgets to go out of your comfort zone. That's a contradictory concept. No one budgets to spend more than they were planning to spend, which means by default, most of the time, 90% of the time, you talk to anyone who's about to do something new, they don't have a budget for it. Why would they have a budget for it? It's not about waiting for your budget to be there. Most people don't wait, right? So it's like they have to find the money or spend money they didn't plan on spending, which means you're always going to have a money problem. It's just always how it's going to be. It doesn't matter how much money you have to. This is a mindset, not a money problem. It's a mindset problem. But watch this. Out of, let's say, 1 million people that own a home in a country, in a region, there's obviously hundreds of millions that own homes. How many of them you think actually own it cash? How many? How many bought the house cash? maybe less than 1%.
Mm-hmm.
Which means what? 99% of people that own a house can't afford it, can they?
Mm.
Or else they would own it cash, right?
Right.
But how are they living in it? Let me ask you, Jessica, how do they have the house? How'd they get the house?
Well, the loan at the bank.
How did they get a loan for $500,000 to $1 million from a bank if they can't afford a house? More importantly, why would they get that if they can't afford the house cash? Here's your answer. Because when you want something bad enough, you're willing to do whatever it takes. There are people I know that would lie on paper about what they earn just to get that loan. And we know the 2008 bubble was just that. Everyone getting homes they can't afford. Now you're sitting down and telling me you're willing to go into debt in the 6 and even 7 figures sometimes, take on a multi 4-figure monthly bill just to be in a home, just to get a nicer home, maybe with a view, maybe with a pool, maybe with an extra bedroom. You're willing to do that, spend someone else's money and go into that situation. But someone says pay $5 or $10 or $15 or even $20,000, and I'll show you how to build an entire business that will give you anything you want in the future. You're like, oh, I don't know. Okay, then tell me, just be honest. I want a house. I want a nicer house with an extra bedroom more than I give a shit about my future. Because that's the truth, isn't it? So there is no empowerment needed. You need to just face reality. And more importantly, that's just a logical point of view. Let me give you a spiritual one. There is no such thing as something for nothing in this lifetime. So if you're waiting for something magical to happen so you can one day get the result without having to put in the work or hire the people or learn, which costs money and time, by the way, you'll never have it. The moment you realize that business and goals in life are not lottery tickets, that the only way you achieve something for real is by earning it, then you'll stop waiting for some magical chance that someday maybe something might happen that will cause you to do something. You'll realize that there's only one way to get what you want. You set your mind to it, do whatever it takes, and you commit along until it's done. And whether that means finding the money, doing the work, getting out of your comfort zone, none of those should become a wall. It should become a hurdle. You just run over it. If you don't see it that way, you'll never get to the point where you feel ready or feel like it's the right time or feel like you have enough money or feel like you can afford it to do it, because you will never. Because the only thing stopping you is your approach and how you think about this, not your actual situation. I know people in third world countries that have bought my program that's not cheap because they were willing to do whatever it takes. I had one person even willing to sell their kidney to make the money to pay for the payment plan. Think about that. That person today makes more money than CEOs in his entire country. And he's a 25-year-old. I'm just saying that's because his mindset's good. Meanwhile, I have clients in first world countries that everything, they're much older than the client I have. They have much more skills, but their own thinking gets in their way. They can't even make $5,000. Of course, every program is going to have people who are doing well and people who are not. And I watch them and I go, man, the only thing wrong is you. You're the one who's wrong in this. You need to change you. That's just a fact. And that's what business is about. That's why half this program to start with is just upgrading yourself. Because if you don't, you can't fit an elephant into a mouse hole. If your goal is an elephant, is that size, and you have a mouse hole, you're dreaming. You're being delusional. If you think that's going to fit into this, what has to happen? You need to build a massive giant door to fit that elephant through. That means you got to grow yourself to match the size of the goal you have. And a part of that, the easiest part of growing yourself, is being willing to invest maybe more than the money you have or go into debt to learn the things you need to learn to grow bigger. If you're unwilling to do that, my biggest question is always the same. If you can't even figure out a money problem, like to pay for what you need, how on earth are you planning to succeed in goals, specifically in business? Because don't you think there's going to be much bigger problems than I don't have money in your business? Perspective, You just got to correct the perspective.
I love the passion and the fire in this conversation, because we don't have time to get into your story, more of your story, but I remember you did whatever it took at one point. I remember the story with your dad. So maybe we'll do an episode 2 and then you can share that. But just remember, if you're watching this and you're hearing from Armin, everything he's saying is because he's experienced it himself, right? Am I correct? Right? All right. So I'll let you close off in a minute, just, a few more things you want to add, but I want to share the 2 quotes that I had picked for today. You are never too young to start an empire and never too old to start a new dream. Armin said it earlier. He has young, he has older clients. It's never too late. And then for my ladies, be the girl who decided to go for it and change that mindset. So Armin, where can people follow you, find your info, all about what you're up to with your amazing program?
Yeah, fastest way to get a hold of me is on Facebook, just Armin Shafee. It's ARMINSHAFEE. I respond to all my messages, or on Instagram, it's just my name, but the in front of it, so the Armin Shafee. And if people want to check out what we do with clients, you just go to highticketcoaching.com. Simple. You can check it out. We have a community for free as well. It's called High Ticket Coaching Community. And we allow everyone in who's serious about scaling a business and really building a business around helping people. So that's really our goal. So.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. So any last words you want to leave people that are going to watch the episode today?
Yeah, I have a quote of my own that I think I want to leave people with. I think this sums up everything that there is to personal development, and it controls your life, which is change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. And that is encompassing everything from perspective to bias to, conditioning, layers, everything you need. If you want different things, you need to look at things differently. And that's really all it takes. And that's what changed my life. So I hope it will change yours just by hearing it.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being with us today, for all your valuable wisdom, amazing info that you trained us today. Really privileged, and thank you again. Thank you for all the viewers that are going to be watching. Again, if you're going to be watching replay, type replay in the comments. We're going to type Armin's contact info for Facebook, Instagram, and his website, so that you can go follow him, because every week he shares incredible content. So thanks again, everybody. I'm going to be back next week with another incredible guest. Have an amazing Wednesday and the rest of the week. Take care.
Yeah.
If you have enjoyed today's episode, please share with the people that you love. Always with love, Jessica DSB.